Have you ever seen a mother who smiles, even when life crushes her every single day? A mother who hides her tears, so her child never sees her breaking? This is the story of one such woman. Her name was Maria, a black single mother, soft-spoken, humble, and carrying the kind of pain that doesn't show on the face, but lives quietly in the eyes. Maria worked as a maid in the luxurious Belmont mansion, one of the richest families in the entire city. A house filled with chandeliers, marble floors, and people who never looked at her as a human being, only a shadow in a uniform. Every morning, before sunrise, you could see Maria walking through the cold streets, her old shoes clicking on the pavement, holding a small lunchbox that she packed with the last bit of her groceries. She never complained. She never cursed life, because she had one reason to survive: her son, Elias. Elias was only 13, but wise beyond his years. A quiet boy with big, curious eyes, always carrying library books, always asking questions about nature, science, and dreams far bigger than his reality. "Mom," he used to say with a soft smile, "one day, I'll take care of you. One day, you won't have to work like this." Maria would ruffle his hair and laugh gently. "Just study, baby. Mama's fine." But she wasn't fine. And every day, someone made sure she remembered it. That someone was Veronica Belmont, the lady of the mansion. Beautiful, wealthy, powerful, and cruel in ways that only privilege can create. Veronica's words could cut deeper than a knife, and Maria was her favorite target. "Maria, you call this clean?" Veronica would scream, even when the room sparkled. "Do you people even understand what standards are?" That word, "you people," she used it like a weapon. Cold, sharp, meant to wound. Maria only bowed her head. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I'll do it again." But every insult chipped a little more of her heart. Still, she endured. Not for herself, for Elias. And she never told him how she was treated. But children, they see more than adults think. One afternoon, Elias arrived early to pick his mother from work. He walked into the kitchen and froze. His small hands tightened around the straps of his backpack as he heard Veronica shouting at his mother. "You're useless, Maria. Absolutely useless. I don't even know why I keep you here. You're people." But she didn't finish, because Maria dropped a plate in shock when she noticed Elias standing there. Her heart broke right there. "Baby, you're early. Let's go." Her voice trembled, but Elias didn't move. He stared at Veronica with eyes filled not with fear, but with a strange strength. The kind of strength life forces into children who grow up too fast. "Don't talk to my mom like that," he said quietly. Veronica laughed, sharp and mocking. "Oh, and what will you do, little boy?" Elias clenched his fists, but Maria quickly held his hand. "No, sweetheart. Let's go home." That night, Elias stayed awake, staring at the ceiling. He had seen enough. He had understood enough. He made himself a promise. One day, he would lift his mother out of this hell. One day, she would never have to bow to anyone again. But dreams don't protect you from reality. And the next day, reality hit harder than ever. It was a rainy morning when everything changed. Maria reached the mansion soaked, shivering, her uniform wet from the storm. She quietly began cleaning the hallway when Veronica appeared. "Oh, look," she sneered. "The maid brings half the rain inside with her. Do you enjoy looking like this? Wet, messy, pathetic." Maria swallowed. "I'm sorry. The bus. Save your excuses." Veronica pushed a bucket toward her with her foot. "Hurry up and clean before the guests arrive. And don't walk near the living room. David is studying." David, Veronica's only son. Arrogant, spoiled, but incredibly smart. He rarely talked to Maria, except when he needed something. Maria worked silently, her hands trembling from the cold. She felt dizzy, but ignored it. She had no choice. In the living room, she heard David coughing repeatedly, deep, painful coughs, but Veronica didn't notice. Hours passed. Maria had barely eaten. Her legs hurt. Her head spun. And then it happened. She fainted. The bucket slipped from her hand, spilling dirty water across the marble floor. Maria collapsed beside it, unconscious. For a moment, there was silence. Then, Veronica's angry footsteps. "Oh my God, Maria. Really? How dramatic can you be?" She didn't check her pulse. She didn't ask if Maria was okay. She only shouted, "Get up. You're making a mess. Do you want to ruin my floors?" Maria didn't move, but someone else saw everything. Elias. He had come early again, and he saw his mother lying on the floor, broken, cold, soaked, hurting, his breath caught in his throat. "Mom." He fell to his knees, shaking her gently. "Mom, please wake up, please." Veronica snapped. "Oh, stop. She's faking it. These people always." Elias stood, slowly, and when he turned to her, his small face was wet with tears, but something else lived in his eyes. Fire. "You hurt her," he whispered. "You hurt my mom." Veronica stepped back, startled, not because he was strong, but because the truth was finally in front of her. She had broken someone, a mother, a human. But before anyone could say another word, David, the arrogant son, stumbled into the room. He was pale, sweating, struggling to breathe. "And Mom," he gasped, clutching his chest. Veronica screamed, "David? David! Oh God, somebody help." But there was no doctor, no driver, no staff, only one boy and one unconscious woman. And that moment of chaos, fear, and desperation, was the beginning of everything. Panic filled the mansion like a sudden storm. Veronica, who spent years yelling at the world, suddenly had no voice, no control, no arrogance. Her son, her pride, her treasure, was gasping for air like a fish pulled out of water. "David, baby, breathe. Just breathe." Her screams shook the walls. But David couldn't breathe. He fell to the floor, his hands trembling violently. Elias held his mother's head on his lap, crying silently. But when he saw David collapsing, something inside him shifted. He remembered the books he read, the emergency lessons from school, the documentaries he watched secretly at night. He gently set his mother's head on a pillow. Then he stood, strong, focused. "I'll help him." Veronica snapped her head around. "You? A child? You don't know anything. Move aside." But Elias didn't move. He stepped toward David. He knelt beside him, listening to the rhythm of his breath, or rather, the struggle of it. His throat, its closing. Elias whispered, "He's having an allergic reaction." Veronica froze. "How would you know that?" "Because I study," Elias said calmly. "And because, unlike you, I pay attention." David's face was turning red. His eyes were swelling. He clawed at his throat, terrified. Then, in the middle of his panic, he looked at Elias. "Help me." And that was the only permission Elias needed. He rushed into the kitchen, searching through drawers and cabinets as if he lived there. He knew exactly what he needed. The emergency kit the mansion always kept for guests. He found it. An EpiPen. He ran back, knelt, and held David's shaking arm. "I'm going to help you, okay? Stay still." He injected the EpiPen with steady hands. Hands far steadier than any child should have. Within seconds, David's breathing eased. His chest stopped jerking violently. His eyes softened with relief. Veronica watched in disbelief. The black boy she had always ignored. The son of the woman she humiliated. He had saved her child. But Elias wasn't done. "His pulse is weak," Elias said, touching David's wrist. "We need to get him to the hospital. Now." He turned toward Veronica, expecting urgency, action, gratitude. But all he found was a face drained of color, frozen in shock, tangled between pride and shame. How did you?" she whispered. Elias didn't answer. He lifted David's shoulders gently, helping him sit up. "David, can you stand?" David nodded weakly. Elias placed an arm around him. Veronica rushed forward. "Let me help my son." Elias stepped aside, but not with fear, with confidence. "You should drive," he said. "I'll sit with him." There was authority in his voice, the kind of authority that comes from courage, not power. And Veronica, who never listened to anyone, listened that day. The ride to the hospital was silent, except for the sound of rain hitting the windshield. Veronica kept glancing at the rearview mirror, watching Elias hold David's hand, whispering instructions. Slow breaths. "You're okay. You're safe." Tears gathered in Veronica's eyes. because she had never seen a child show such maturity, such control, such kindness. And the worst part? She had never shown even half that kindness to his mother. At the hospital, doctors rushed David inside. Veronica followed, hysterical, but before entering the room, a nurse stopped her. "Ma'am, wait in the lobby. We'll call you." Veronica stood there, trembling, when she finally noticed Elias wasn't beside her anymore. He was running back outside to check on his mother. The rain had slowed, but the sky was dark as Elias rushed into the mansion again. Maria lay exactly where he had left her, still unconscious, still pale. "Mama," he whispered, falling to his knees. "Mama, please don't scare me." He lifted her head carefully. Her skin was cold, her lips faintly blue. He wiped her hair away from her forehead. "You can't leave me," he whispered, voice trembling. "I promised I'd take care of you, but I'm not ready yet. Mama, please wake up." He held her tightly. Tears fell on Maria's cheeks, and maybe that's what woke her. She stirred weakly. "Elias?" Her voice barely audible. "Mom," he cried, hugging her. "Oh, thank God, Mom, you fainted." Maria tried to sit up, but her head spun. "I'm fine, baby. I just didn't eat much. And I've been tired." "No, Mom, you're not fine. You were too much. They treat you badly. They don't care about you." Maria gently touched his cheek. "Elias, my love, we do what we must. For our future." He clenched his jaw. "A future where you suffer every day. A future where they treat you like dirt." Maria didn't answer, but her silence said everything. "Mama," Elias whispered, "you deserve better. One day, I'll give you better." She smiled weakly. "Of course you will, baby. I know." He helped her stand slowly. But just then, someone stepped into the doorway. It was Veronica, sopping wet from the rain, mascara smudged, hands shaking. But this time, her eyes were softer. "Maria," Veronica whispered. Maria stiffened. Elias stepped in front of her like a shield. "What do you want?" he asked sharply. Veronica swallowed hard. Her voice cracked. I came to say thank you." Elias didn't move. Maria remained silent. "My son, David, he's stable now." She looked at Elias. "You saved him. You saved my only child." Her voice broke. "And I treated you both terribly. I have no excuse." Maria looked down. The room felt heavier. Veronica continued, voice trembling. "Elias, you were braver than many adults I know. You acted fast. You didn't think about the past or my cruelty. You just helped." She took a shaky breath. "I owe you both more than I can ever repay." But Elias, still holding his mother, said quietly, "You hurt her. Every day." Veronica lowered her eyes. "I know. Are you sorry?" he whispered. A single tear fell down Veronica's cheek. Yes, for the first time in her life, Maria saw sincerity in this woman. But Elias didn't soften yet. "Sorry won't fix my mom," he said. "She deserves respect. She deserves peace." Veronica looked at Maria, really looked at her for the first time. "You're right," she whispered. "Both of you are." She stepped closer. "Let me take you to the hospital, Maria. You need care too." Maria looked torn, unsure. But Elias nodded. "Mama, please. Let's go." And so, mother and son left the mansion, together, supported for the first time. Neither of them knew that this was only the beginning. The storm was far from over, and the truth about David's illness was about to change everything. Jamal lay awake that night, staring at the cracked ceiling of their tiny room. The words he had heard earlier kept replaying in his mind. "Your mother is nothing. People like her don't belong in this family." He had heard insults before, at school, on the street, from strangers who didn't know any better, but hearing them from his own mother's relatives, that shattered something inside him. He felt a burn in his chest, not of anger, but of determination. He whispered to himself, "One day, Mom won't cry because of them. One day, I'll change everything." Down the hall, Maya sat on the edge of her bed, her hands covering her face. She tried not to cry. She rarely let Jamal see her break, but tonight was different. She felt like she had failed him, like she had walked back into a battlefield without armor. When Jamal quietly pushed open her door, she quickly wiped her tears and forced a smile. Couldn't sleep, baby? She asked softly. Jamal shook his head. Mom, why do they treat you like that? You worked so hard, all alone, and they still talk like you're nothing. Maya didn't know what to say. This was the conversation she always avoided. She held out her arms, and Jamal walked straight into her embrace. Because some people, she whispered, cannot stand seeing someone rise without their help. Jamal hugged her tighter. But Mom, I'll rise for both of us. Maya felt her heart melt. She stroked the back of his head. Oh, baby, you already do. The next morning, the atmosphere in the house was cold enough to freeze glass. Aunt Gloria had a forced smile on her face as she served breakfast. Uncle Daniel avoided eye contact altogether. And Evelyn, the one who had insulted Maya the night before, walked around like a queen, chin high, pretending nothing had happened. Maya sat quietly at the table. She had decided she would leave after breakfast. She didn't want any more trouble. She didn't want Jamal to feel unwanted. She didn't want to stay where she and her son were only tolerated, not welcomed. But fate had a different plan. Jamal stepped into the room, and everything paused. He wasn't the shy, quiet kid they were used to seeing. He stood tall, almost grown, his eyes sharp with purpose. Good morning, he said calmly. But everyone felt the shift in his tone. He sat beside his mother, placing his hand over hers, protective, proud. Evelyn raised an eyebrow. Oh, look, she smirked. The little hero is here. Jamal didn't even look at her. Auntie Gloria, he said, can I talk to everyone for a minute? The room froze. Daniel coughed, trying to dismiss him. Jamal, this is not the time. Actually, Jamal interrupted. It is. The firmness in his voice silenced everyone. Even Maya stared at him, surprised. He looked around the table, one face at a time. You all talk about family, he said slowly. But last night, you treated my mother worse than a stranger. Evelyn rolled her eyes. Oh, please, stop being dramatic. You insulted her, Jamal said sharply. You insulted the woman who worked 3 jobs just to keep me fed. The woman who never asked anyone for help. The woman who raised me alone because my dad's side of the family didn't even bother to check if I was alive. His voice cracked, but he didn't stop. You say she doesn't belong here? Then neither do I. Gloria's expression softened. Jamal, that's not what we meant. Then what did you mean? Jamal's voice rose. Tell me, because from where I'm standing, it sounded like you were calling my mom worthless. Evelyn scoffed loudly. Well, if she wasn't so sensitive. Jamal slammed his hand on the table. Stop. Stop blaming her for your cruelty. Everyone froze. The trembling in Jamal's hand, the intensity in his voice. It was no longer a child speaking. It was someone who had carried too much weight, too young. Maya touched his arm gently. Jamal, it's okay. No, he said, shaking his head. It's not. He stood up, pushing his chair back. You want honesty? He continued. Here it is. Mom may not have money or fancy clothes or a perfect life, but she has something none of you have. He pointed slowly around the table. Courage, integrity, and a heart big enough to love people who don't deserve it. Gloria swallowed hard, her eyes wet. Evelyn scoffed again, but this time her confidence wavered. And one day, Jamal said, his voice firm and steady, when I succeed, when I make something of my life, you will remember this moment. You will remember how you treated the woman who gave up everything for me. Daniel cleared his throat, guilt crawling up his face. Jamal, we were wrong. Even Gloria nodded, ashamed. But Evelyn stayed silent, arms crossed, jaw tight. Jamal looked at his mother. Mom, come on. We're leaving. He grabbed her bag and held it out for her. Maya looked at her family, some remorseful, some still prideful, and realized her son had become stronger than she ever imagined. As they reached the front door, Gloria suddenly rushed toward them. Wait, she called out. Please stay. Let's talk. We were unfair. We were wrong. Maya, you're family. You always have been. We just forgot how to show it. Maya hesitated. She looked at Jamal. Your choice, Mom, he whispered. I'll stand by you whatever you decide. And, for the first time in years, Maya felt seen. She felt valued. She felt protected. Not by the people who should have loved her, but by the son she had raised with her entire soul. Maya stood at the doorway, the morning light spilling across her face. Behind her, Jamal held her bag firmly, ready to leave, ready to protect her, ready to walk away from anyone who made her feel small. But Gloria stood in front of them, breathless, her eyes filled with something Maya hadn't seen in a long time: regret. "Please don't go," Gloria whispered. "I know we messed up. I know last night was ugly. But this house has always been your home too, Maya." Maya looked down, fighting back tears. "It hasn't felt like home in a long time." That sentence struck Gloria like a slap. She swallowed hard, her voice trembling. "You're right. I didn't defend you when Evelyn said those things. I should have. I was a coward. But I'm begging you, give us a chance to fix what we broke." Jamal stepped slightly forward, protective. "People only say sorry when they're scared to lose something." Gloria looked at him, tears filling her eyes. "I'm scared to lose you both. I love Maya like my sister. I helped raise her. And I love you too, Jamal, more than you know." Jamal didn't answer. His jaw was tight. The pain from last night was still fresh. Just then, Daniel appeared behind Gloria. He didn't try to speak first. He didn't justify anything. He simply said, "You were right, Jamal. We were wrong." Those simple words hit differently because they came without excuses. "We forgot how strong Maya is," Daniel continued. "We forgot how much she's fought alone. And instead of appreciating her, we humiliated her." A voice interrupted. Everyone turned. It was Evelyn. She stood at the end of the hallway, arms no longer crossed, chin no longer lifted in pride. She looked defeated. "I said unforgivable things," Evelyn whispered. "I judged you because your life didn't look like mine, because you didn't have what I had." Her voice cracked. "I thought it made me better, but it just exposed how cruel I am." Maya stared at her, stunned. She never expected an apology, especially not from Evelyn. Evelyn stepped closer, her eyes shining. "You didn't deserve any of it. You've done more on your own than I have with all the help in the world." Then she looked at Jamal. "And you defended your mother better than any adult in this house. I respect that." Jamal didn't say anything. He kept his expression neutral, but his fingers loosened slightly around the bag strap. Evelyn took a shaky breath. "I know words aren't enough, but I'm sorry. Truly." The house felt silent again, but this silence was different. Softer, warmer, honest. Maya felt her throat tighten. "Why now?" she whispered. "Why apologize now, after all this time?" Evelyn exhaled. "Because I saw something last night. When Jamal spoke, when he stood up for you, I realized that I never had that kind of courage, or that kind of loyalty. I realized you've raised a better human being than any of us." Maya's eyes glistened. Gloria stepped forward again. "Stay. Let us show you that we can change." But Maya shook her head slowly. "Change doesn't happen in one apology." Jamal nodded quietly, agreeing. Daniel lowered his head. "We know. But Maya, let us earn back the right to call you family." Those words stopped her. Earn back. Not demand. Not assume. Not force. Earn. Maya looked at Jamal, searching his face. This wasn't just about her anymore. This was about him, his future, his emotional scars, his sense of belonging. "Jamal," she said softly, "what do you want?" He looked at his mother. "I want you to be respected. Wherever we stay, here or somewhere else, people should talk to you with dignity." Maya nodded. "And you? What about you?" Jamal looked at Gloria, at Daniel, then finally at Evelyn, who stood still, waiting for judgment. "I want a family," he said quietly, "but a real one, not a perfect one, just one that doesn't hurt my mom." Those words broke everyone. Gloria covered her mouth, tears spilling. Daniel wiped his eyes. Even Evelyn's shoulders shook with silent sobs. Maya felt Jamal's words settle deep in her heart. Her son wasn't asking for luxury, success, or approval. He was asking for something far more valuable. A place where love didn't feel like a burden. A place where respect wasn't conditional. A place where his mother could finally breathe. Maya exhaled. "Okay," she said gently. "We'll stay." Gloria cried out a soft breath of relief. Daniel placed his hand on his chest. Even Evelyn let out a shaky, grateful sob. But Maya added firmly, "Things must change. No more insults. No more silence. No more pretending I'm less because life was harder for me." Gloria nodded immediately. "Absolutely," Daniel agreed. You have my word. Evelyn stepped forward, her voice barely a whisper. You have mine too. And if I mess up, call me out. I deserve it. For the first time in years, Maya felt like they listened, really listened. She stepped inside the house again, not because she needed them, but because they needed her, and they needed Jamal. Jamal placed the bag down and stood next to his mother, holding her hand proudly. And as they walked back into the living room, something felt different. The air didn't feel heavy anymore. The silence didn't choke. The walls didn't judge. Instead, there was room. Room for healing. Room for forgiveness. Room for new beginnings. Jamal looked at the family gathered around, their posture softer, their eyes humbler. For the first time, he whispered to himself, maybe hope starts here. And Maya, standing tall with her son beside her, felt a quiet peace in her chest. She survived humiliation. She survived judgment. She survived silence. But now, she wasn't surviving anymore. She was finally living. And her son, her brave, incredible son, had become the family's only hope.